looming energy crisis unless Europeans start accepting more Russian gas again.
You just don't have enough volume to bring in to replace that gas for the long term. Unless you're saying I'm going to be building huge nuclear plants, I'm going to allow coal, I'm going to burn fuel oils.
While Europe has enough gas to get through this winter, the Qatari minister says the bloc will be hard-pressed once those reserves run out. RT's Ilya Petrenko explains what European countries are doing to stay warm.
The EU is trying really hard to save its members from soaring gas prices while sticking to the goal of giving up on gas imports from Russia. The European Commission has just come up with a set of proposals. They include joint gas purchase, the creation of a liquefied natural gas pricing benchmark, and also default energy solidarity between member states. One of the lifelines for the EU could have been long-term supply deals for LNG with Qatar, one of the world's largest LNG producers. But the problem is that Qatar has most of its volumes already contracted under such deals with buyers outside Europe. Recently, Chinese LNG importers have been selling their excess inventories to Europe, which has been a relief for Brussels. But Beijing has told their energy giants to stop that practice ahead of winter. In February this year, Qatar already warned Europe of serious consequences if it were to quit gas imports from Russia. But as we understand, these warnings fell on deaf ears.
Russia provides, I think, 30 to 40% of the supply to Europe. There is no single country that can replace that kind of volume. There isn't the capacity to do that from LNG.
Now, the energy crisis has indeed gone so far that EU officials are admitting that the bloc's green commitments could be in jeopardy.
The risk that there is in these asymmetric consequences of this crisis is for Europe to lose competitiveness. And so our two main commitments, first on the clean energy transition, and second on implementing reforms and investment of next generation EU.
Last week, the Russian president, Vladimir Putin, pointed out that one of the two Nord Stream 2 gas pipes remains undamaged. So if Europeans justify the operation of Nord Stream 2, well, for now, the EU hasn't made a single step in that direction. The EU hasn't made a single step in that direction.
We got reaction from economic consultant and educator Amin Ayoub, who points out the need of finding new energy sources for Europe.
This is like, we can see that after the OPEC Plus decision to cut production, we can see that a lot of GCC countries are changing their stance. And Qatar actually, officially, a few months ago, they were a little bit more optimistic about sending production to Europe. But we can see now that Qatar actually changed its stance towards Europe. And they're actually saying we cannot commit to Europe for the upcoming years as they have other contracts, especially with other Asian countries. So I think that the minister, Qatari minister is right about his predictions, and that Europe needs to actually find other sources.
Following the Russian president's offer to set up a new joint project, Turkey is set to become Europe's largest gas hub. President Erdogan says the project will enable the EU to keep getting Russian gas through Turkey.
Ve şimdi Turkey will be a hub for natural gas as well. In our last meeting, we agreed with Russian President Vladimir Putin on this issue. We will create a hub here with gas coming from Russia. And in his own words, Putin announced to the world that Europe can get its natural gas from Turkey.
The hub is aimed at ensuring stable supplies, as Vladimir Putin has called Turkey the most reliable delivery route to European countries, which are suffering from the backlash of their own sanctions against Russia. We asked political analyst Yusuf Erim and foreign news editor of Ahaba TV, Elif Sayadjolu, for their take on the significance of the Turkish gas hub project with Russia. Turkey is actually the reliable partner, as Mr. Putin, the President Putin, has stated that the diplomacy between Russia and Turkey is actually getting into more and better situation. Right now, let's speak about the gas because the gas hub was declared during the Astana visit. And during that meetings, we've seen and we have heard that these situations are going to take place because the only way that we could do this together was to resolve this issue and spread gas to Europe. So to spread gas to Europe, as the Nord Stream is already not working anymore, there has to be a solution, and Turkey stands to be a solution for that.
Turkey logistically and geographically has always been a very important location for gas producers, gas providers. It makes financial and logistic sense for Turkey to become a natural gas hub. There's a fact, winter is coming. How much will EU reserves last this winter? That remains to be seen. But at the end of the day, these politicians need to get reelected. Their mandate is to serve their country's interests, their people's interests. And if it gets to the point where people are freezing, if it gets to the point people are protesting, there's going to be flexibility on buying gas. And if Turkey is the country that is selling it, Turkey is a candidate member of the EU. Turkey is a NATO member, which is part of the alliance with many EU member states as well. Yes, it is Russian gas, but it is coming through Turkey. So it makes it a little more palatable. It makes it a little more explainable to the EU public, maybe buying it via Turkey going forward. But again, that's going to depend on how cold the winter is and how much these reserves, European reserves, last.
Lafarge made a deal with the devil. That's according to US lawyer Brian Peace after the French cement company was found guilty of paying millions of dollars to ISIS and al-Nusra to keep one of its plants operating in Syria. It was fined almost $800 million, with Deputy Attorney General Lisa Monaco saying Lafarge's actions helped fund the two groups as they waged a campaign of violence and terror against the Syrian population.
In its pursuit of profit, Lafarge and its top executive not only broke the law, they helped finance a violent reign of terror that ISIS and al-Nusra imposed on the people of Syria.
The French